Conservative radio host and founder of The Resurgent, Erick Erickson. He's author of Before You Wake, Life Lessons. A father to his children.
And a few recipes, too.
And a few recipes, too, just like Richard Haas's books. So Erick, talk about the backdrop to this book in 2016 and what could easily be termed the worst year of your life.
It was. So I got admitted to an ICU, dying. I had dozens of blood clots in my lungs that I just thought were allergies. They were progressively entering. Literally the day that I entered the ICU, my wife was diagnosed with an incurable form of lung cancer. Around this entire time, we were having protesters show up at our house upset that I wasn't supporting the president for election being a Republican. I should have. People calling my radio station demanding I be fired. A woman in my wife's Bible study said she wanted to punch me in the face because I wasn't supporting the president. My kids got yelled at in the grocery store by a guy that they needed to know their father was destroying the country by not supporting the president. And they would come home crying from school that their mom or dad would say I was going to get shot for whatever.
And people showing up at your front door.
You had 3 people
security.
show up at our front door, had armed guards at the house for 3 months. It was an exciting year.
Yeah, an exciting year. And so
I wrote a book to my kids out of it, so yeah. One upside.
Well, wow. Yeah, but this book you wrote for your kids, Before You Wake, talk about what you learned in 2016 and how it's made you a better father and how it led to this.
Number one, politics isn't as important as we tend to make it be in the country these days. So many of the fights we think are most consequential really aren't. I would far rather my kids not be measuring their self-worth by how many likes they get on Facebook or Instagram, and far more by on what they're doing for their next door neighbor. Most importantly, I think I learned that all of us, I think now in the internet age, can construct communities for ourselves where everyone thinks the same. And so we never have to encounter the homeless man down the street or the idea that runs counter to our own.
And you talked about the most powerful weapon in bringing our communities back together, which leads to our society coming back together, our civilization coming back together, is the kitchen table. Explain.
Yes. So one of the ways to step back from 2016 was, cooking. I love to cook and realized it was a great way to bring people to our house, some of whom we knew well, some of whom we didn't know as well, but wanted to know, just to get ourselves a circle of friends around us who our kids could have a safe space where we're not yelling at each other about politics, and being able to make a pot of gumbo and bring people over. And that's why there are recipes in the book, all my kids' favorite recipes.
Would you allow a Troy State fan to come over right now?
God, after that LSU game. Well, listen, I'm boycotting LSU until they stop boycotting winning. So
okay,
probably so.
Okay, it's going to get ugly.
Yeah, some of the stories you just related over the last year or so get to something we've been talking about a lot lately on this show, and that it seems that politics has superseded basic humanity.
Right.
What kind of person walks up to your kids in a grocery store and yells at children about their dad and tells them he's ruining the country? They couldn't stop and think, maybe yelling at these kids is less important than whatever else is happening in my life. And so I guess my question for you is, how do we get that back? Because we saw it again yesterday. You know, you had 59 people dead in Las Vegas, and inevitably there were people online, some high-profile people on the progressive side, saying those people got what they deserved. They're probably Trump voters because they were at a country music concert. How do we recapture basic humanity?
Turn off the internet. I mean, honestly, I think Twitter brings out the worst in all of us, myself included, and forcing ourselves to actually get back to where we know the person next door to us. I'm always shocked when I have conversations with people now that they don't know the person in the apartment next door to them, let alone the person down the hall from them. Meeting actual people in your neighborhood is the easiest way to start.
So I'm curious, Erick, the supporters of candidate Trump, then President Trump, who were so upset with you, you did not support him during the campaign and probably the first few months of his presidency. Are they as angry with you as they were? Are they still coming to the house? Are they still saying, hello, Erick, I'd love to punch you? Or has something changed with them?
Some of them are still very angry. There are a few people that I've long been acquainted with that weren't necessarily friends, but I don't talk to anymore. And then a lot of them, I think winning helped them get over it.
Yeah.
You know, my boss, particularly with my wife's cancer, having insurance, was desperately afraid if I didn't suddenly support the president, I was going to lose my insurance, lose my job. But I couldn't bring myself to do it, neither could Christy. She would have killed me if I'd sold out for her. And but ratings went up and people listened, and I get Trump supporters all the time now say, I disagree with you, but I at least know you actually mean what you say.
How's she doing, by the way,
She's
to close
doing
it
well.
up?
We go every 3 months for a scan. We'll have one on Halloween, and that gives us a 3-month rest period where we don't have to worry.
You say you live in 3-month increments there.
Yeah, she has a CT scan every 3 months, and at some point her cancer will mutate. We'll have to find a new medicine if there is one. If there's not, then we've got a problem.
How are your children handling this?
They're good. My kids, we try to keep them from a lot of the politics of it, although they pick it up from school, but they're good. They've got a healthy sense of self-esteem that we keep them off social media, so it's built on the playground self-esteem and not on likes and retweet self-esteem.
That is it's something we've been talking about, unplugging. The book is...
And I just could say what you said about communities, that the kitchen table is the best way to build communities. It's also the best way to talk to your children, and making sure you have that set time,
family meal time
every night,
important.
where they sit down, and I've been through it a few times now, where you have sulking teenagers. Certainly, I'm not saying anybody's sulking these days, but we all go through it, and it's great to be able to look them in the eye over dinner.
I have a year until mine's a teenager, and this is horrifying me.
Yeah. May I just say?
You are right to be horrified.
You are right to be horrified.
The book is Before You Wake: Life Lessons from a Father to His Children. Eric's